In a quiet village surrounded by thick forests and rolling hills, a great gathering was called at dusk. The elders sat in a circle, their faces stern, their eyes filled with expectation. The villagers murmured in hushed voices, watching a troubled young man stand before them. Adanna, a strong hunter, shifted uneasily under their gaze. He had given the bride price for his beloved Adanna, but now, it was gone. Stolen. Adanna's father, a tall elder with deep lines on his face, stepped forward. His voice was firm, sharp like a blade. Adanna's father, angrily. Adanna, how can you expect my daughter's hand when the bride price has vanished? Adanna opened his mouth to speak, but before he could answer, his body swayed. A terrible weakness gripped him, and he collapsed onto the ground. Inside a small hut, Adanna lay on a woven mat, his skin drenched in sweat. His once strong body had become frail, his breath shallow. Beside him, the village healer, an old woman with wise, knowing eyes, crushed herbs in a wooden bowl. But no medicine seemed to help. A shadow lurked in the corner, unseen but present. Something was wrong. One person she never thought would betray her. Her own brother, Adanna. Adanna, shocked, hurt. Adanna, tell me it's not true. Tell me you did not take it. But Adanna could not meet her eyes. His guilt was a heavy chain around his neck. Adanna felt her heart tighten. If the bride price had truly been stolen, and her brother was involved, then only one person could know the truth. The old woman in the forest. Deep in the forest, in a hut filled with strange charms and hanging dried herbs, an old woman sat. Her eyes, clouded white with age, stared past the veil of the living and into the world beyond. Old woman, whispering, cryptic. The curse was never meant for Adanna, but for the one who stole what did not belong to him. Adanna shivered. If she wanted to save Adanna, she had to act. She had to find the stolen bride price before it was too late. The next day, the elders gathered beneath the great tree. The truth had been revealed. Adanna, the once trusted son of the village, stood before them, his head bowed in shame. The villagers whispered, their eyes filled with anger and disbelief. Adanna stepped forward, her voice steady. Adanna, determined. I will go. I will find what was stolen and bring it back. The elders exchanged looks. Finally, the eldest among them nodded. Elder? Then may the ancestors guide you, child. At sunrise, Adanna stood at the village gates. A satchel was slung across her shoulder, a small dagger tied at her waist. Her mother held her hands tightly. Adanna's mother, softly, tearful. Be careful, my daughter. Adanna nodded. Then, without another word, she turned and stepped into the dark, waiting forest. Her journey had begun. Adanna walked deeper into the forest, her heart pounding with every step. The thick canopy above blocked out most of the light, leaving only slivers of the morning sun to guide her way. Every shadow seemed alive, every rustling leaf a whisper of something unseen. She had grown up hearing stories about the forbidden lands beyond the village, the place where spirits roamed, and outcasts lived in secrecy. But now, she was walking straight into it. Suddenly, the air grew heavy, thick with an eerie silence. Even the birds had stopped singing. She had heard stories of these lands, of spirits that whispered through the trees, and of those who had entered but never returned. Then, she felt it. A presence. A low voice, rough like stone, spoke behind her. Mysterious voice, deep, ominous. You do not belong here. Adanna turned sharply, her fingers tightening around the dagger at her waist. A man stood before her, tall, powerful, his dark skin marked with strange symbols. His piercing eyes burned with suspicion. Behind him, shadows moved. More outcasts, their weapons gleaming in the dim light. She was surrounded. Adanna's heart pounded as she stared at the small, brittle bones lying among the gold and coral beads. The jungle around her seemed to breathe, shadows flickering against the marked trees. This wasn't just stolen wealth. This was something far worse. Adanna, whispers, shaken. What is this? Outcast leader, low, grim. The price your people paid. Outcast leader, continuing. The bride price was never just wealth. It was an exchange, one life for another. Adanna, panicked, denying. No, that's not true. Mysterious woman, soft but firm. It is. The veiled woman pointed at the bones. Mysterious woman. A child was taken. Sacrificed. And your people took the wealth without question. Adanna's vision blurred. The sickness in her village, the strange deaths, the things lurking in the dark. This was no ordinary misfortune. This was justice. Adanna, quiet, fearful. You're lying. Outcast leader, soft, almost pitying. You don't want to believe it. But you feel it, don't you? The weight of the curse? Narrator. Adanna felt it. A chill ran through her spine. This was a punishment. A punishment for a crime no one had dared to acknowledge. Adanna, firm, yet shaking. So what happens now? Mysterious woman, low, final. You must return the price, or pay another. The air thickened. The jungle loomed. Adanna clenched her fists. Returning the bride price, was it even possible? And if it wasn't, what price would the spirits demand next? Was different now. Before, it had been dark, but alive, the rustling of leaves, the distant hoot of an owl, the chirping of crickets. But now everything was silent. Unnaturally silent. Adanna gripped the red bundle tighter against her chest. Each step felt heavier, as if unseen hands were pulling at her ankles, trying to drag her back into the darkness. She wasn't alone. A whisper drifted through the air. Not in any language she knew, yet she understood it perfectly. Whispering spirits, soft, eerie, overlapping. You carry a curse. Will they listen? Adanna swallowed hard. Would they? Would her father, the elders, the villagers accept the truth? Or would they turn against her? A shiver ran down her spine, but she forced herself forward. The edge of the jungle came into view. Flickering village fires. The familiar sight filled her with both relief and fear. She was home. But the spirits had not left her. They were waiting. Because the real test had just begun. Adanna stepped into the village, her heart pounding. The familiar sense of burning firewood and roasting plantains filled the air, but tonight, everything felt different. The village square was silent. No laughter, no music, only the flickering of torches and the whisper of the wind. She clutched the bundle tighter. Eyes followed her as she walked past the huts. Women peered from their doorways, whispering behind their hands. Young men stopped their work, watching her with suspicion. They knew. Maybe not the full truth, but they sensed it, something was wrong. She pushed forward until she reached the elder's hut. She took a deep breath and stepped inside. Chief Obika, stern, concerned. Adanna, you should not have gone. Pause. The fire popped softly. Adanna, determined, but shaken. I had to. Gasps filled the room. Some elders recoiled. Others leaned forward, their eyes wide with fear. The brittle bones gleamed in the firelight, nestled among the gold and coral beads. Adanna, urgent, passionate. This is the truth behind our wealth. Elder Nkem, a dismissive, skeptical. These are lies. The bride price was paid in full. What proof do you have of this nonsense? Adanna, firm, almost pleading. The proof is in our village. The sickness, the deaths, the shadows in the night. The spirits are angry because we took what was not ours. Chief Obika, low, dangerous. Enough. Adanna, whispers, shaking, but strong. A child was taken, sacrificed, and we took their blood-stained wealth without question. Chief Obika, dark, warning. Do you know what you are saying? Adanna, breathless but determined. Yes. And if we do not return what was stolen, the spirits will take their own price. Click on the subscribe button to follow, and share, like and comment so you don't miss out to our newest episode.